Okay, real quick. A lot of times you guys will see these things with what seems to be overflowing fuel tanks. I just kind of wanted to point out where some of the leaks or perceived overflows tend to be from. So if the cap is not a venting cap, what happens sometimes is as heat builds up, the fuel turns into a vapor, and when the fuel turns into a vapor, it forces fuel into the carburetor, ends up leaking out of the carburetor. In fact, you could see some residue in the air cleaner housing here. That's one common source. That the cap is not venting if it's a venting cap. Another common source is this grommet right here that the fuel lines come out of the tank. This one's actually in pretty good shape. Third source is, and they're not always easy to find, but you see right here, that thing right there? It's a vent for the fuel tank. So this one was leaking fuel, and I suspect it's leaking from the vent itself. I'm guessing that vent is plugged or caught with crap, who knows. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clean this thing up and we'll leave it on the floor in the sun and see where it starts to leak from. If it leaks out the carburetor and it's resolved by opening the cap, then it's probably the vent. We'll just replace the vent. So you can follow that general principle on any type of leaking fuel. Also could be a fuel line too. After a certain age, they crack, they dry out, they can just leak fuel. Could also be a primer bulb if you have a carb with a primer, as this one does. But this primer is brand new. So I know in this case it has to be either the lines, not the cap, because it's not a venting cap. Most likely the vent in this case. And I know the grommet's okay.